You're listening to Grassroots Community's What Really Matters podcast. And today I'm talking to Theo Wilson from Southmead about what really matters to him. Thanks for coming.
It's all right.
Looking forward to chatting to you today about the things that really matter to you. First of all, let's kick off with, how did we first meet?
I generally thought that we first met that when you sat in my youth club and talked to me about the GAP project, but something else was there. I came to a survivability program with you when I was a little kid. Had to gut a fish.
This makes me feel old.
Had to gut a fish, and the fin actually cut my finger, and I still remember that. The fin was actually that sharp that I cut my finger.
Don't sue me.
Oh, I won't. But yeah, so I originally, as you know, I was coming home from my music production course. You know, all the music.
So first of all, when I met you, where was that?
What's that, Northern Slopes?
So that was in Knoll West, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you went to Knoll Park Primary School.
Uh-huh.
And we were doing various different bushcraft things at school, and we were doing a growing project at Springfield Allotments.
Yeah.
But I didn't meet you there, did I? After that's where I first met you, when you were in primary school.
Yeah, but you didn't meet me there, yeah.
No. But then with GAP starting, we were chatting to different young people. Where did I meet you then?
Well, of course, I first saw you at my youth club and I got to talk about, but first, full on me, I'm pretty sure that's the Wave, right?
At the youth club. So what area?
So that's in Southmead. That's is it municipality? What's the area called? There's a constituency, there you go, in North Bristol. See, big English words. Voting constituency. Yeah, so basically, I was raised in Knoll West for up until the age of 16. Moved up to Southmead for the last 3 years. Both areas have their own challenges. Both areas have their own gems, in my opinion. I prefer living in North Bristol, to be honest. There's just more access to everything. Not the same in every area, of course. You get areas like Lockleys.
It's brilliant. I'm not going to have to ask any questions because Phil's right on it. So my question was going to be, but you're starting to do that now. But I was just going to say, what have been the challenges and the positives of growing up? So you grew up in Knoll West up till 16, and then you moved to Southmead. Do you want to say a little bit about what have been the challenges and the positives?
Yeah, I'm quite good at that. When people ask me questions, I can just subconsciously answer the next question they're about to ask me. I'm just very good at that.
Well, let's see, because you might be able to do it, and I'll let you know if you do.
The main challenge growing up in Knoll West was probably the poverty side of things. We were raised through absolute poverty to the point where we couldn't even afford meals most, like, some days. Of course, like with my DNA, we could get food. We were more fortunate. We were more fortunate. I'm making up words.
Fortunate, that's it. Yeah.
We were more fortunate than most families that I knew. I mean, I knew families of 6 getting raised on something like $5,000 a year, which I know $5,000 doesn't sound that bad, but for a family of 6, that's horrific. That's nothing. I don't know how anyone can live off of that. Of course, living with that, not only that, me being autistic as well, obviously more needs would be put in place. My mum being an alcoholic and a drug addict as well was very constringent on our finances. So of course that was hard, having to go into school with uniform that hasn't been washed in a week or two. I had incontinence issues as a kid, so sometimes I would go into school with, clothes like that.
Those kind of things are normally because of stuff you've been through.
Yeah, of course, trauma. I'll be honest, I'll sit here and say the incontinence side, I suffered with that up until probably 3 or 4 months ago. I don't have it anymore, which is great, but yeah, that I feel like that's a reflection of childhood trauma and stuff like that, and just feeling uncomfortable during sleep, having to get more sleep because of the stress you go through. But yeah, so that was a massive issue as a kid. I'm not slandering my mother off at all. She tried her best. If I was in her position, God knows what I'd be able to do. But yeah, you got that. Education as well. I feel like I'm going to say education was a challenge to me for one thing, and that's because I just didn't care. And why
didn't you care?
I just went to school, and it's probably I feel like looking back at it from a psychological point of view, it's probably reflecting my own attitudes towards myself and my family at that time. So of course, I felt like there was nothing to care for. There was no future for me living in that kind of household. Like I would like watch TV programs as a kid, like, oh, I want to be a dentist, I want to be a doctor. You know, every kid does that. But like at the end of the day, I'm like, wow, my mom's got no money to put to my name. Like, what's the chances of me actually making it? Of course, now that's changed.
Do you think then when you were going to school, did you? So you've already said that you got autism, and you're saying about your kind of growing up in your family, like in your family. When you were at school, did you get on well within the kind of school system? Did you have like groups of friends that you've known from going to primary school that were with you the whole way through, or was there challenges with that? Because let's be honest, everyone faces different challenges through those years. It'd just be interesting to hear about what that was like when you're actually at school.
It's like there was this like internal kind of conflict with the school system, between the school system and me. Like I got detention after detention.
And what was that for? Like
missing homework, disruptive behaviour, just stuff like that. So homework, as I said, I just didn't care. I just went to school, did the work, went home. I don't work mail, I'll just do the detention kind of thing. That attitude clearly comes from somewhere. It's not just like it's not just lethargic like thoughts or lethargic behaviours.
You're a very intelligent man now. Do you know what I mean? Like yeah. So there must have been some kind of reasons. And why were you just doing? You say like disruptive behaviour. Being honest, like reflecting on it now, why were you being disruptive, or were you? I don't know. Can you reflect on it and be honest?
I spoke to my psychology teacher about what behaviours I used to do, what detentions I used to get, and he said, it's the educational board, 100%. It's just you not understanding the autism and the side of things. I would find our work class disruptive, a work question hard, like let's say maths. Like, one thing that like really used to get me in maths is that like there used to be a circle. Is the line, I don't know, you'd have like two angles and I had to work out the third one. Like for me, logic, I had like no basis to work out the third angle, so I was like, oh crap. So I'd see a question like that, I'd melt down in class. Yeah, it's a bit loud, I can understand how that's disruptive, but at the same time, instead of saying, oh, you're being a bit loud, could you go outside please, wait for 5 minutes, we'll get someone to talk to you. It was always like, oh, you're being really disruptive, teacher shouting on my face, get out of the classroom, like send me off to isolation. It was ridiculous.
Can I ask you a question then? So when were you diagnosed? Were you diagnosed with autism by the time you went to secondary school?
So I started visiting camps in year 4, I'm pretty sure, and it took me until year 7 to receive a diagnosis.
So at secondary school, and did you go, what secondary school did you go to?
Oasis Academy, John Williams.
Okay. It might be from there, man. I used to work in the behaviour department. It was Hengrove originally, yeah. And I left just after the first year of John Williams. What year? I was supporting like people like Charlie Mundy and Ashley
I've heard of Charlie Mundy, yeah.
Josh. Oh God, I've gone bloody brain dead. Josh Tuvey, people like that. The Parker twins.
Oh yeah, I've only heard one of their words. I only heard one of their names, and that's because I've heard their name mentioned.
Sorry,
I didn't know who they were.
That would be weird again. There'd be another connection. So yeah. You knew that you were diagnosed then by the time you come to secondary school.
Yeah, I was diagnosed.
Did you have additional support in the classroom?
I did. The thing is that a lot of people will look in on special needs people, wherever that's autism, ADHD, Down syndrome. We had a kid with Down syndrome in our school. He was a legend. Like everyone liked him, but like they'll look at extra support, and the thing is, it's extra support, but it's still not enough support, let's be honest. I had someone sit in the class with me, teaching assistant. Looking back at that, like, did I need it for learning? No. I feel like something like a school therapist could have done way better than any teacher
based
assistant.
on what you were saying about what was going on at home, like it probably is more the social emotional stuff where
But yeah, not to slander my TAs, it did help me a lot. I had people who would like print off lessons for me because my writing was like, I would get like writer's cramp really easily and write quite slowly. I was unable to write, and up until year 7, year 8, my handwriting wasn't really legible, to be honest. Now it's really neat. I pride myself in my handwriting, it's quite nice now. But before it was like, year 4, my teacher used to just look at my page and pretend he would read my work and like he literally said this, pretend he would read my work and mark it, because it literally looked like Chinese characters. It was going down the page, loads of stuff everywhere. So originally they thought I had dysgraphia. I don't know when all that went. No follow-up tests were done. Now I just got better handwriting. I don't know.
So when you left school, did you leave school with any exams? Like, did you pass any exams? Or
I passed my SAT, so I got predicted 5s in all my subjects, which is pretty decent. That's like 4 to pass, 5's like, I'm like, okay, sound. Getting to year 7, I tried my best. All my primary school friends who were really good friends with me, they started speaking to other people. Then of course the behaviours came with the secondary school changes, and people were noticing on that, singling me out. And
do you? I mean, it's horrible, but it is what it is. It's the nature of growing up.
Happens, yeah.
Anyone that's different in any shape or form, and we're all different in some shape or form, but if it's not as noticeable because there's not necessarily a label for that kind of thing, then suddenly people, especially kids, they want to find something to take the mick out of, don't they? Do you reckon you got that, or do you feel like you were kind of you didn't feel much of that going through school?
I'd say I was full on bullied in secondary school. Isolated completely. Like my old friendship group completely went behind my back and just started like bullying me. And then I met some kids 2 years younger than me, and I used to hang out with them. But then half of them would like talk behind my back and stuff like that negatively. I kept getting called like something like pedo and stuff like that for hanging out with kids 2 years younger. I don't get that. I mean, when I left secondary school, some kid literally wrote pedo on the back of my t-shirt, like in a pen. Like, it's mad.
Unfortunately, it comes down to people trying to think they're looking cool by bullying someone else, and they're going to bully people that are the easier option. And when I say the easy option, only because it doesn't sound like you had loads of people around you that would have been telling that person to off.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you, based on it being just you would have been an easier option. And people, they prey on that because they know they can't go up to some of the other, what they would think would be the cool kids. Let's look who's cool in 2 years, 3 years time, and let's see what you're doing, and let's see what a lot of them are doing.
Half of the kids were bullying me, who like now they're like chavs going around Northwest, just like hanging out around the shops, doing nothing with their life, and I'm just here doing extra education on getting myself a future and stuff like that. So,
quick question on this then. So just to kind of finish off the stuff about the education. Do you think that there's a way? Do you think that you would have been better off going to alternative school provision than staying in mainstream? Or do you think that people, and I know it's a massive spectrum with autism, so it's not a straightforward answer for everyone, but do you think that people staying in mainstream education would be more beneficial than going to some kind of alternative provision which would be surrounded by other people, you know, with just similar kind of challenges? What do you think would be better?
See, that's hard. Growing up, I would have 100% said mainstream. I would still say mainstream now, but like the only reason I say that growing up is because the only alternative school I knew was Norwood DG, and nothing against Norwood DG, but there's a lot of people would be like, oh, the kids are throwing chairs at the teachers, etc.
There's a lot of behaviour.
I don't. To me, I don't think I would have thrived in that. I feel like I just would have been held back. But the thing is, I've been held back in different ways going to a public school, mainstream. The thing is, there's actually been a lot of research done. When I attended the disability training with Creative Youth Network in Kingswood, there's this whole thing about whether we should send people with autism, ADHD to like just straight away to those schools, or whether we should keep them in mainstream. And a lot of them found putting them in mainstream was actually better for them in a way. For me, 100% mainstream. I feel like if I was put in a like specialist school, I don't think I'm severe enough to be categorised.
I'd guess it would impact on social skills.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because you'd be surrounded by people that wouldn't necessarily, you wouldn't be surrounded by such a range of people, and we all learn from everyone. Even though if there's people that are bullying and being horrible, there would have been people that weren't, and you'd learn from that, and we all learn from that. So I mean, it's interesting you say that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the solution is for that kind of stuff, but yeah.
I feel like apart from the bullying, I feel like secondary school went smooth for me, to be honest.
Well, you're a fine specimen of a lad.
Yeah.
What happened then because going from North West, doing secondary school, Angrove, moving to Southmead. What's the differences between the two places? Is there any differences? Like, what's your take on that?
I mean, if you look at the stereotypes, not really. You have the kids go around hanging out the shops, causing trouble with the locals. You have police cars going around all the time. Like, you know, I feel like if someone isn't really educated on like the good parts of Southmead, if someone would come into Southmead, they would like single out every single bad feature and be like, oh, this place is a hellhole, this place is horrible, this place is that. And I found myself victim to thinking that not even a few years ago, probably like a few months
What's
ago.
the positives?
Community spirit. And I've noticed that down. I went into the park and I was like jogging because I was almost late to this podcast. I went to the park and said that. But I was jogging and the guy goes, oh, be careful, there's loads of ice found, you don't want to fall over. And like we had a little laugh and stuff like that. You don't really get that in the richer areas. Not to put the richer areas down, but you don't really get that. It's like my uncle's newlywed wife. She's from Bradley Stoke or Sadly Brook, as people
I
say.
knew you were going to say that as soon as you said. Sorry, anyone that's from Bradley Stoke.
But what's it?
He said it, not me.
When she used to go shopping, everyone just used to mind their business, not talk to each other and stuff. She comes down to Southmead. First time she goes to Aldi, someone's like, lovely weather today, isn't it? They just pulled her over, had a nice little conversation. She loved it.
People look out for each other, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And that's probably due to the areas not being so well off. People are like just looking to each other for help. You know, there's community run projects there. You don't really get that. I can't really think of one community support project in Redland or Clifton. I can't really think of that.
It's interesting you say it. So the argument would be well, they're not needed, but then, you know, how do people come together? You could say people come together with pubs. Not everyone wants to go to a pub. Sports clubs, you know, like there's. Yeah. I just think there's something about, you know, like, I don't know, growing up in a working class area myself, and it's the kind of thing you need to milk. Like you go next door. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's all good, and it's like someone lend you a bit of sugar for bread or whatever.
Have a bit of sugar, like sound.
And so there's those connections that wouldn't happen because there wouldn't be a need for those connections. And it might sound like a small thing, but that brings people together.
It does. It is such a good thing. Another thing about Southmead that I think is good, the Greenway Centre. Oh,
the Greenway Centre.
This
is it. Look, check this out. You can have this for free.
Whether that's going to play snooker or just like catching up with people, going to the cafe to meet my mentors. I mean, it's where we hosted our event too. Like, I can't put into words how good it is. It's just something like that existing.
So it's a community centre, a big community centre. It used to be a school, didn't it? In
I think it did,
in Southmead, and now there's loads of different provisions for young and old, isn't there? Yeah.
I think it used to be a school until Bristol Free came in. There's still a nursery there. There's a business part of it there as well, which is quite cool.
Okay.
So we were like here, the business part is there. Yeah, it's just great.
That nicely kind of links us into then. So you obviously you're saying about that place. What kind of things do you get up to in your community? You're in Southmead now. Like you just give the big up to the Greenway Centre. What kind of things do you do with friends and clubs? I mean,
so I go to the youth club there. And
what's the youth club?
So
what's it called?
Just the ranch, I suppose. Like
yeah.
And that's hosted by CYN on a Monday, Southmead Development Trust on a Wednesday and Friday. But they do little like sessions that I used to volunteer with. Play sessions for the kids. That's Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, I'm pretty sure.
Is that the Adventure Playground?
Yeah, the Adventure Playground. So you got the Adventure Playground here, you got the ranch here, that's where the youth club is hosted. I just go there and play pool, to be honest. Best one there. My mate used to be the best one there, he doesn't really go anymore. That's a shame really, but...
And do you find that you fit in within that kind of environment? Because you were talking about school being difficult. Now you're older, you're in a different community, you're going to a space that isn't school. Is that somewhere that you go regularly? So I'm going to make the assumption.
Well, naturally, like youth clubs have a different target demographic than like social clubs, if you get what I mean. So a youth club will target those with disabilities, whatever disability that is, learning disabilities, social disabilities, like stuff like that. The kids do go
that a little bit, being a youth worker, but go on, carry on.
My one is like the Monday session is specifically for those who have
that. Well, that's one thing. If it is a targeted session for people,
and I do find that the majority of people that do come on Wednesday and Friday have some form of ADHD. I know a guy who has ADHD and bipolar, like stuff like that. So there's a lot. Like,
okay, yeah.
So yeah.
So that's a particularly targeted thing, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not an intentionally targeted thing, but like the demographic that what goes there, like a lot of people do have.
What about so what's the music project you do? Is that like a open access for all?
So I did that with Creative Youth Network, and yeah, I'm pretty sure it is up until, I think it's up until 16. I was 17 at the time, but the guy knew me personally. He was like, yeah, we'll get you on that, like even if you're 1 year over the thing. That's great. So I did one where we just learned the basics of Ableton Live. Brilliant DAW, just putting loops together, making a song.
Okay.
So we did that in the Greenway Centre, and then we put something together, and that was actually hosted in an exhibition at the Royal West of England Academy for 6 months.
Oh, check him out.
We went in there for free, and we were able to actually go in there for free for ages to listen to the music. So I don't know how many people would have listened to my song, but that's pretty cool.
Can you send it to me?
I don't have the link to it, believe it or not. You might have to go to the RWA. That's if it's still on display. I don't know if it is.
Oh, if you can find it, I'd like to
And
listen
then
to it.
part two, I went to another music production course, and that was more the production side was there, but it was live action as well. So there was this rock band that went in. Loads of people who teamed up. Their music was amazing. So I'm a very electronic music person, house music, drum and bass, but I do appreciate a lot of other music genres. So they had a more like heavy metal kind of rock thing, but it was still so cool to like hear that live. But I stuck to production on Ableton Live. Obviously, like I'm not gonna go there. Like I'm a DJ at heart. Like I'm producing on software.
Yeah.
So I actually made a decent like song there, and then
You need to find that because we could put it on your show reel. As in the song, the
it's
back
not
end.
actually that good though. But yeah, I could do. You had the mayor for public transport, I think, coming from the Labour Party.
Right.
I found it funny. I said to the guys, I said, you can tell he's being paid to be here. He does not want to be here. The look that he has on his face. You know, he's coming in, he's listening to the music. That's very good. He's just walking around, oh, why am I here? Kind of thing. But yeah, loads of families came in.
You should have said to him.
I would have said to him, mate,
Said,
I'm like, you're not looking happy. Like, what are you wearing?
Face like a slap ass. You better here to actually kind of support us and you're interested because you see it a lot, don't you?
And like, of course, politically, I'm more left aligned because you'll find a lot of like people.
There's a common theme with you, lot. I'm telling you. Everyone I talk to, every young person.
No, it's
get that voting age down now.
It's generally true. Like I talk to my friends who have different like things that limit them in society, kind of. I have disabilities. I have a lot of black friends as well, and they are generally more left-leaning. Like you do get ones that are right-wing. You do, like obviously you get black conservatives, disabled conservatives, but
course,
like the 90% are left-wing. Let's be honest, because like more social welfare is better for us. The challenges that we face could actually be solved. I mean, I don't really have much faith in Labour either, but like still. But yeah, this guy came in, and I originally thought that only conservatives didn't really care about the stuff. So to see Labour MP come in and not care as well, I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding! Come on,
should ask a little bit about their background because when you go to, I mean, that's the thing. If you go into the Houses of Parliament I mean, that's where the Labour Party has changed quite dramatically over the years. If you look at the people that are in the Labour Party, as in that are at Parliament, how many of them have walked in the same shoes as us that have come from the same backgrounds? It's not as the kind of the breakdown of that will not be anything like the same as what it used to be when the Labour Party started. So maybe that's why you're getting someone that's rocking up and just like, oh, what am I doing here? Because they don't. I mean, I can't make this assumption. Do they really care? Because they understand what it's like.
I mean, to be honest, the mayor of public transport in Bristol is absolute crap anyway. Like he does not do his job well.
I don't know who it is, and I wouldn't like to say, but you can say what you want.
My friend's dad's a bus driver. He tells me all about it. Like it's a nightmare right now. He's not doing well. So this is what I mean. Like,
oh my word, this is a scandal.
I'm left leaning, but in the election, I might either go for Liberal Democrats or Green Party because I know Labour hasn't really done a good job in Bristol. It's done a good job elsewhere. I suppose Liverpool's made a massive improvement and stuff like that, and they're a majority there. But the thing is, Bristol's Green Party majority, but Labour is still in power somehow. I don't know how that works.
Wow, I mean, things are getting very close to that. Again, I say it's not. I mean, it's just interesting for me. The bigger thing is that you have an interest and an understanding in politics.
I think a lot more young people do, because I hear a lot of young people that are like, I don't really care about politics. I don't really care about politics. You can change the way this country runs. This is the thing. They can massively change the way this country runs. To me, that vote is needed. That's what I mean. I'm not saying you have to vote, but your vote is needed. Just even if it's just reading a manifesto and saying, I believe in this party, I believe in this party.
Well, go on to the bit. I mean, you look into it as much detail as you want, but go on to the basics. Change doesn't happen unless you do something. It's exactly the same as what
the amount of people that are, I don't like talking about politics, and I'm like, yeah, but it's important, isn't it? That's the thing.
Look, anyway. I mean, we could really go into this,
yeah.
But I'm going to have to move us on because, I mean, and it would be interesting to go into it, but I know we've had many discussions about this.
Yeah, of course.
And we have got to kind of talk about a few other things. I mean, it's all linked, I think, to be honest with you, all of this kind of stuff. I mean, I met you, didn't I, when I went over to the ranch and it was in Southmead, and I was going over there to talk to DeAndre, I think. And then somehow I got moved up and I started chatting to you. And I can remember I thought to myself, I don't know if he's feeling the vibes for this. And you never know because I'm explaining what the programme is. But can you tell me what were you doing before GAP? And how did you feel before GAP?
So I finished my A-levels, coming out of A-levels feeling very low, very disappointed with my performance. College wasn't nice. I was an A-star psychology student just to go into my exam to get a C. So as you can expect, that hurt a lot. It's like, it went like, my mental like health like as a whole went just like up, like good. And then exams are here, it just plummeted. And I stopped revising, I stopped doing this, I just couldn't be bothered. Like even bringing myself to get out of bed and go to college each day was immeasurably difficult. Did it, because I have to, but...
And you put that down to the pressure of the exams? Yeah.
I mean, one of my media exams, I literally wrote like a paragraph. I literally could not do the exam. I was continuously having panic attacks. I had to speak to my examination and they put it down like could not continue exam. And my friends were like, well, friends. I don't quote friends like they weren't friends. They were, but like it wasn't anything that I'd hang out with. But like one of the girls was like, oh, how did you do in your exams? I was like, I couldn't complete it. And then I told her I was feeling anxious before exams, but when people tell you anxious, you don't see the full picture. So you're like, kind of like, okay, they're feeling a bit anxious, but they'll do it.
Well, people can't be inside you, can they? Or me, or Dougie, or anyone.
But like, I told her that I couldn't complete the exam, and her face dropped. She was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see, yeah, I can kind of understand how much you're struggling through these exams. And I'm like, yeah. Luckily, the thing is with uni, it's a lot less examination based and much more coursework based and stuff like that, which is great.
So you're kind of. It sounds like the moment I was chatting to you, and I think you said something about you were suffering with mental health and anxiety. And even when I was talking to you, I could tell probably I'm a new person chatting about this, that, and the other, and I could tell you were kind of probably a little bit like, unsure. Maybe it might have been me or what I was talking about, or who knows. But there was that. I mean, and then just to kind of make this more of a kind of picture, because leading up to GAP, when you said you were up for it, and leading up to it, that you were worried, weren't you? You were worried about it being something different, and I think everyone's going to be. By the way, everyone would have had their worries. Not everyone would have been so vocal about it on the phone. And there are challenges for everyone, and you've had challenges within the programme, and I'm sure there'll be more, not just with you, with other people, because that's life, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
But what have you liked about GAP so far, and what do you think could be improved? And just let rip. Be honest.
What have I liked? I like the progress that I've made so far. I like the links that I have to people, because let's be honest, having links to people high up is cool. It just is. Like having links to Stuart Woodburn. I think he's the executive head of like 3 schools and has another 4 on his side. Like,
Venturers Academy, Merchants Academy. I don't know.
It's insane. Like honestly,
he's a trustee for grassroots communities as well.
Yeah, big up Stuart. If you're watching this, which you will be, I'll make sure you will. Big up. Yeah, it's great. Honestly, I feel 100 times more confident. I'm not going to sit here and say I feel confident. My self-esteem is still very low. But I feel way more confident than I did before. I mean, I literally was out with my friends. We were going to go play snooker. We were going in a skate park. I literally sat on the corner of, what's the road called? How have I forgot the road? It's actually next to me. What's the shop road in Henbury called? Crow Lane. I said you sat on the Crow Lane, tears like streaming down, calling you like, oh, I'm really worried about the wave tomorrow. Like, I don't know, like stuff like that. I went to the wave. Couldn't swim, so I couldn't participate. Sad, but
What happened then? Because there was a moment then as well. Like you didn't want to do it, and that's fair enough. And I was saying to you, you're here, mate. That's the main thing. You're here. But then I could see none of you lot knew each other. None of the young people knew each other, and you could see already that there was a supportive arm coming around from different people, and it's about feeling like you belong.
well,
And I think that happened quite quickly.
props to Emma. She was the person that fully got me kicked off in Gap. Like, literally, we were both so early to like the thing. We were both like half an hour early to the wave, so we just stood outside and started talking straight off the bat. It's brilliant. Like, Emma was the first person I knew from the course. Yeah, I went to the wave, started having I don't think it was externalized. I thought it was more internalized panic attack. I was more suppressed. I was more like just looking at stuff like, oh crap.
Yeah.
And then Emma was the first person to come over to me like, you're right, what's going on? Like, stuff like that. Like, you know. And Emma was like, oh yeah, I'm not participating either because, like, you know, I think she was worried about her hair and then found out she could have covered her hair anyway. Yeah, she was worried about that. And then Leah was like, oh nah, I can't participate. So I just spent the whole time talking to Leah and Emma, and
But that must,
I felt
have,
so
that must have
welcome.
helped. Like I could have said as much as I could have said 100 times, and it's an adult, you don't know that. But to have that support from other people that are similar age must make a difference.
I feel like the striking thing for me wasn't the help. Like, it was the help she gave, but like her turning around and said, oh yeah, I have ADHD, so I know how you feel. It's just that, just a neurodivergency. It wasn't under, not saying a neurotypical can't help me out, but like if someone who doesn't have autism, ADHD, or anything that makes them neurotypical comes up to me like, oh yeah, I understand how you feel. One, you don't. Let's be honest. Two, like, it just doesn't feel the same. But knowing that she goes, I have ADHD. I know that's not the same as autism. It's not. I don't understand how she feels. She don't understand how I feel. But like, she understands. I say she would have more of an understanding of my autism than a neurotypical will, because ADHD and autism are quite similar. I mean, the comorbidity of the two is quite high. I think it's like 50-60% of people have both. But
I mean, on that note, then that was obviously pure bloody chance. She was someone that wasn't doing the surfing,
of course,
induction session, and she was actually there like chatting to you. But I mean, so moving through the program, the things that you think have gone well, because I mean, I can pick up things, and I could, if you want me to give you my honest opinion on stuff, I can. But
go ahead.
But I'd like your kind of view on what you think has gone well. Not loads of detail, just those like literally just like bullet points of the things that have gone well, and maybe the things that could be improved. Because there's some things I've seen you shine at, and I'm going to say them anyway. But go on, you go for it.
You personally said I could do all this and tell you about all that. So I'm going to tell you about what I think has gone well, but then I want you to tell me about what you think have gone well.
Yeah, I will, yeah.
Okay, so what I think has gone well, my event. I say my is representing the whole team, obviously.
So
I'm
social
not
action event.
Social action event went brilliant. Like, it could not have went better, in my opinion. Like, that was absolutely insane to see
at the Greenway Centre, your favourite place.
To know that we've set up a whole event, which is a difficult procedure in its own. To know that our team has got absolutely, I said the word shafted. I don't know if that's appropriate here, but I said our team got absolutely like wrecked up. Like, we were 3 weeks behind. To turn it around, to get an event with 53 attending, to get 2 charities on board, knowing that it was in December and every charity that we emailed was pre-booked as well. Massive success. For us to turn around, and we were all sat there, and the first meet we said, oh, we don't think we can do this. And we did. And we turned it around, and it was great. People loved it.
How does that make you feel to know that you have achieved it? I mean, I'll be honest with you. Yes, there was challenges within your group that wasn't similar. Everyone had challenges.
Of course.
You had certain challenges within your group. And there was an element of, because of those things, people weren't necessarily working together, and there was... But how you managed to pull it together in really 3 weeks is off the chart because of those different things that were going on. I mean, it is amazing. It really is. But what do you think you've learnt from that that went well? And what do you think that you would do differently next time to improve because you're going to be doing a social enterprise something next term, and there are a lot of the community and the youth-based learning that you've already had, and you put some of that into your event in Southmead, you're going to use that again. But what did you learn that you could do better next time?
So what I have learned, and I don't know who's going to view this, but if anyone else views this and wants to do their own social action project, listen up. If you are going to send emails out, send them straight away. We sent them 3 or 4 weeks later. We only got 2 charities turning up. Yeah, if you sent them earlier, we probably could have got at least 6 or 7, if not 8 charities there.
You would have had a better chance, wouldn't you?
Way
never
better.
know, but yeah.
I feel like conflict of interest needs to be resolved way quicker. We had all different ideas, and of course, like that's what kicked off the original problem with the whole different ideas.
Group dynamics.
Massive group dynamics.
Group dynamics in anything you do as a team is huge.
I feel like just accepting that conflict of interest will like happen, and like how to resolve it in a way. Like it doesn't need to be resolved as like another issue needs to be resolved. It doesn't need to be completely given rid of, but it needs to be listened out. What can we do here? What can we do there? ETC, and not just I want to do this. Like that's just going to limit you.
How can you best move forward together?
Yeah, of course.
With everyone understanding what those different thoughts and feelings are. It's easy to say, but it's only experiences of doing these things is going to get you to the point where you can understand that, and you've already seen it and experienced it, which is part of the process.
Of course. Yeah. So take risks as well. We didn't do that. So we didn't shoot out after all these like big charities because we were like, oh yeah, we don't know if they want to attend. We don't know.
You've got to be in it to win it, mate.
We didn't.
You just think like that.
We could have shot for other businesses for more funding. We didn't do that because we didn't want to take the risk. We should have taken the risk because think about it, the more funding, the better the event would have actually went. I mean, I don't know. We only spent like 146 out of our 200, and we were able to deliver what we delivered, which is great. But
most. There's lots of people that work within community development, youth work, and various other professions that will put on events. And I think probably a lot of people would struggle to put together what you put together in realistically 3 weeks. So hats off, but it's good that you're taking some learning from it.
Of course.
And that will help you moving forward with GAP, but more than that, it'll help you moving forward just generally.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing. Confidence is key. And of course, I feel like a lot of people would just say confidence is key, be confident. And then they're like, oh, I can't be confident. Oh, like, I understand that. Like, when people tell me to be confident, it's not about saying, oh, yeah, let me flip the switch and make myself confident. That's going to take time. It's about just looking at stuff in a way to saying, you know what, I'm going to just do this. Boom, let's go. And maybe that takes time to work on. For me, that just switched. I don't know, but I feel like even times where I don't feel confident, even just pretending to be can change your mindset, the way you look at a task, and can actually actively.
We all play a role, mate, and after time we're all putting an act on, and there is something in that.
Generally, I feel like the team dynamic was brilliant. That the team you put me in, me and Rakane were the more confident ones, more outgoing. We were more. I still don't feel personally confident, but like compared to myself to
Let
Rakane,
me jump in.
I can see that I am.
This is where I need to jump in. I mean, you question everything, which is a good thing. You question things. You're interested. You're very knowledgeable, and I think sometimes you don't give yourself justice. You generally kind of you look negatively about what you can offer. If I think about when we were doing, in term 1, we were doing youth work, community development and leadership modules. And then one moment that stands out particularly is when we were out with the community development module and we were out in the community. And you had to basically, you were learning how to start talking to local people. This was in St. Paul's, about finding out what things matter to them, what are their interests, what are their wants, what are their needs, what are their passions. So then you can try and support people to shape the things that matter to them, which was, incidentally, part of the skills that you're learning to do the social action project, which you just spoke about. I remember what happened. We were in St. Paul's. You're not from that community. Do you know what I mean? We were generally talking to black people and people of different kind of cultures and backgrounds. There was no worry at all about being in a different situation. You were talking to people, you were confident about what you're asking, how you were kind of engaging them, and your body language was drawing out information from them, and they looked happy with it. Those are skills which not everyone has, and I'm not sure you can teach. So straight away, within this program, that's something that can stand you in good stead for life.
Yeah.
Your understanding of things, generally, you know, you could like say, oh, well, is that a trait of autism? Everyone's got different things going on. It doesn't matter what it's a trait of, you know. You're an intelligent person. So when you're talking about education and you're talking about the struggles you went through then, you've already mentioned university, right?
Yeah.
So, and that was one of the things you were saying before the programme, not being sure that you could do it. Well, you can do it. You're definitely intelligent enough to do it. And 100% you'd be an asset to anyone, no matter what you've done. I'm linking this now quite clearly to the mentors you got through GAP, because so now we're in term 3. What's the placement you're doing?
So I'm working alongside a special educational needs teacher at Barton Hill Academy. I'm working with 2 lovely young boys that have different special educational needs. I don't know what their needs are yet, but I have this thing where due to learning it in psychology and being neurodivergent, I could pick up on different things. So there's this Turkish boy called Mohill. Oh, my heart aches. Like he's so like sweet. Like honestly. Like he'll be confused on a task. I'll be do this. He'll be like, of course, let's do this. Like, you know, like a little kid. He's so sweet. His attention goes everywhere. I honestly think he has attention deficit disorder, ADD. I'm not diagnosing here, but I personally think he's had that. I think he's actually going through CAMS and having this thing.
To cut to the point with this is like you've got Stuart Woodburn, who's your business mentor,
A brilliant mentor at that.
and you've got Emma Rigby, who's your youth work mentor.
Another brilliant mentor, yeah.
Right? Like, and they've both been picked specifically for you, right? And one thing I just think you need to know, I just want you to know anyway. I mean, I don't know why it's happening now, but I just want you to know that with those 2 supporting you at this point, as well as obviously myself and Judith supporting you, you've definitely got a hell of a lot to offer with other people that are going through similar challenges that you've been through. But that doesn't have to be your complete existence. All I'm saying is when you said about doing a degree, now's the time. Get Stuart, who's been through education and all the rest of it, will support you with getting those applications in for uni. Because as a mature student and someone that, you know, that's now got lived experience of different things, you will get snapped up. Do you know what I mean? And especially within the world of alternative education and that kind of thing, people can't buy your lived experience. And then you put education alongside that as well. Do you know what I mean? You're the full package, so believe in yourself.
Yeah, I'm quite lucky compared to others said autistic people per se. The amount of support I have is, to be fair, if I didn't come to GAP, the amount of support I had, I wouldn't have had much support. But of course, you guys have provided me with the support I need, which is brilliant.
But it's the same support as everyone else has got. It's not like a special kind of like, oh, you're autistic,
yeah, but like,
you get
of
that.
course.
You've got what everyone else has got.
But like I have,
and you're making the most of it as well, by the way.
Stuart, Emma, you, Judith. I have John Andrews, which is my targeted youth worker from CY, and he is an absolute legend. Right. In fact, I'm meeting him Friday afternoon to get my UCAS application put in. Because guess what he specialises in?
Today.
Autism.
Ah.
And he's gone to uni, so he knows. He's helped several autistic students apply, so that's brilliant. This is what I mean. I have so many connections. It's just about, I need to look at myself in a better light, which I don't do. And yes, I'm a hell of a lot more confident than I used to be. And I'll sit here and say it. You can tell my body language the way I'm saying it.
Do you think GAP has helped with that?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. If I didn't do GAP, I probably would have done like the music side in Princess Trust, and I feel like that could have probably picked me up as well. But like, of course, GAP. Like, I'm happy on my GAP. Open the merch and everything. But yeah, I'm happy. Like, originally, what I was going to do...
I just wonder about how you feel GAP has impacted on what you're going to do in the future.
Ooh. I don't think my...
Hard to say, I know you're only 1/3 through.
I don't think my opinion on what I want to do in the future has changed, but I wouldn't say that's a negative thing for GAP. In fact, it's just strengthened my want to do stuff. I still want to go into psychotherapy, be a therapist, or just be an autism specialist. It has opened my ability to try and want to go into special educational needs. But the thing is, I'm being honest, pay isn't like a major contributor, but the position needs to change a lot because it is massively underpaid. I knew a special educational needs teacher who was living on 25 grand a year. And they were working from Redmond as well. They're working from Redmond where wages are meant to be higher. Like it's so if there's more wages put into that, of course, money isn't a driver, but money is still quite an important factor in a profession.
Well, you know what it's like to grow up without any. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that is going to drive a lot of people to want to be comfortable. And there's nothing wrong with that, mate. Don't think of it like that's fair.
I mean,
so just to kind of like finish that bit off. It sounds like Gap has an impact on you so far. Obviously, you're one third of the programme through. There's plenty more.
It's already a third.
Yeah, there's loads more, mate. It's all happening.
There's loads more. I'm surprised that it's already a third. That means there's not a lot more for me. If there's already a third, it's flew by.
Two thirds left. Who knows what's going to end up happening with that? What do you think you would have done if you weren't doing Gap?
Princess Trust, 100%. Okay. I would have done something during my gap here. Probably music production side of things, because you can with the Princess Trust you can go in. They have I think they have FL Studio. You can just learn to produce alongside top producers, completely free, just like Gap. And it's kind of the same thing. They just link you up to employability. But the thing is, they don't offer as much as Gap, in my opinion.
Why? What do you think? What's the differences?
They don't. Obviously, they'll do the same thing as you in terms of providing us with mentors, but they don't do it in the same way. They don't do it intentionally. Of course, they'll just put you up with work placements and you get to know people from that. But with you guys have specifically got us mentors. You guys have specifically linked us up to specific people. Whereas in the Princess Trust, it's just we'll just help you get a job, build on your skills. I'm not saying the Princess Trust is bad. It's not. It's brilliant.
No, but different things and different people. I'll be honest with you. It has not been straightforward trying to strategically get people that really do match and align with each of the individuals.
That must have been really difficult. Yeah.
But it just shows the difference that makes.
Indeed.
Based on the impact it's had on all of you. Moving on. Do you feel like you have your voice heard, whether that be in the community, whether that be out in the world?
I certainly do now, because
why now?
I'm part of the Bristol Community Resilience Fund in Southmead, which is literally aimed to give people who don't have their voice heard. So I would specifically say that
when
I
you
have
say
my
you're
voice
part
heard.
of it, explain in what way.
So I'm part of the meetings that will decide where funding goes towards.
So you're going to be part of the panel.
So yeah,
okay.
We're looking at infrastructure and just bettering services for climate change, giving charities more infrastructure rather than services, which is a bit still, it's still good.
You're playing your part.
For Southmead, Henbury, Brentry and Horfield, we have a budget of 410,000. The requests massively outdone that. I think the requests were 1.3 million. We've got 410,000 to give away, so.
Well, yeah, but
decisions.
That's where the discussion and the debate happens, and I'm so glad that we passed that opportunity on. Obviously, it's nothing to do with us, but we were offered.
Without you guys, I would have done it.
Send it to people, but because young people need to be part of those decisions.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you guys are going to be affected by a lot of these decisions for a lot longer than the rest of us. You know?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I'm glad you've taken it up.
I feel like before, maybe, I don't know. I don't have a quantifiable way to measure whether my voice is heard or not. You can hear from the way I said that I'm such a logical thinker in that way. People, I don't really have an opinion of whether my voice is heard or not. I feel probably less so than others.
Let me phrase it another way then. So one of the other the questions is about asking you what really matters to you. That's the whole reason for the podcast, for young people to have a platform to say what matters to them. What that might be will be different for everyone. But I wonder, by asking you that question, whatever your answer is, do you feel like people have ever had your voice heard talking about those things that matter to you? So, that's one way of being able to see. So what matters to you?
I haven't really campaigned for stuff that I feel like would matter to me until I joined Gap, to be brutally honest.
So what are those things that really matter to you?
more support for people with intellectual disabilities, more support for people with physical disabilities as well. I'm not affected by physical disability, but there's certainly not enough support out there. I mean, I think it's something like 25% of the UK is disabled.
Yeah.
I quote disabled for another reason. I'll explain that in a minute. I'm not trying to yeah. But seeing that we have such a high, I mean, 10% of Bristol is disabled, you know, whether that's an intellectual one, cognitive one, physical one. Like, to have such a high disabled population, you would expect it to be way higher. I mean, look at countries like, this is why I'm left leaning, this is where my political view comes from. Look at countries like the Netherlands, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Scandinavia, Finland.
Yeah.
Their benefits for those who are disabled are far higher.
Or socially, just generally, they're
way higher. They're not nice to live off. Obviously, no benefits will be. If you're not providing to the GDP, you're not going to get a lot of money. I mean, the thing is, with Finland and Norway, and I feel like they have it here, but not that much. They have access to employment schemes as well as, like, when you're on benefits. Like, over there, they'll be like, okay. With autism, I mean, there's so much systematic, like, prejudice against autistic people in the world of employment. Like, this is what I mean.
Can I ask you a question then? Because I feel like it's kind of linked with the whole thing. The reason why GAP was set up is about creating an opportunity for young people to be supported to find, you know, realise what their passion is, and then be supported to create a pathway to that opportunity to make it happen, whether it be a job, whether it be a course or an experience. Do you feel, and it comes centrally from a relationship, do you think that's what's missing with people with a wide variety of disabilities, whether it be or general everyday young people, whatever that situation might be across the city? Do you think that the support that they get needs to be a little bit more based on an actual emotional relationship with someone that then can develop and support that young person to create the pathway that they need?
For like a lot of autism support services and a lot of like access to employment schemes are kind of focusing on this is how a neurotypical will get a job. We will train you to be like a neurotypical. Let's get you a job kind of thing. And it's kind of like going like, they're not really consciously making autism have a negative connotation, but they're subconsciously doing it in a way. And they're you know, and like, your autism makes you not good enough to get a job, so here's the access to employment. We're going to make you more like the normal people so you can get a job. And to me, I don't like that. Whereas in Norway, they will be like, we embrace your autism. You're
it's
unique.
a superpower, isn't it? Like most differences.
The thing is, in Norway and Denmark, the government will actually pay your employers half of your wages, so they will actually employ you.
Okay, yeah, subsidising.
See, why are we not doing this here? Why are we not doing this here?
I mean, to be honest with you, as soon as those experiences happen and people realise that there's certain skill sets of people that are differently, you know, within neurodivergence, whatever that spectrum is, then it's breaking down the barriers, isn't it? That's the key part, I guess. And then you wouldn't have those issues.
Like even in Germany now, like I feel like when I was looking at different countries to move to because of my
Is this something that you would like support to happen? So, like, because change only happens, it all starts with a seed. You plant a seed, you water it, you nurture it, things grow, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about something which is huge, but there may be people listening to this, or there may be people we can connect you with that might believe in similar things or already been trying to kind of work on different things, but having someone behind that has been through the system in the way that you have and can see different like holes within it and how there's better ways to support it. That comes on to kind of like the next question. I'm not saying this is going to be your ask, but would it be helpful for people that believe in trying to change that system in the way that you're talking about to get in contact with us, to get in contact with you so we can hook you up? Because I think
it's a new opportunity and it sounds exciting. So yeah, I'm willing to give it a try. Yeah, that sounds cool. It's a good little thing to do. Yeah.
I just think you can make a difference. I mean, it's not that you might want to, and obviously you can. You know, depending on what.
Obviously, I want to make a difference. It's just about thinking about other things that are happening in my life as well. I need to better myself in a way in terms of getting paid work soon. I haven't stepped into the world of paid work yet, so that's.
Well, you need a balance, don't you?
I need stress. So of course, time is certainly made to seem that it's a lot more available than it actually is, but still, yeah, I'd love people for similar beliefs to be like, oh yeah, we have this project or we have this, like, would you like to be part of it?
Or even just having that kind of...
Even just having that connection, yeah.
And that discussion, then what comes from that? It's no different to your social action project, you know, or what you end up doing wasn't because one person wanted to do something, it was fireworks are going around everywhere, and suddenly you've then shaped something. And it's the same with potentially you might meet. Well, let's jump on. The final question that we ask everyone, and it may be connected with what we just spoke about, it might be something completely different, is if you could ask Bristol, the world, whoever, one thing, what would that ask be?
Oh, wow.
No.
Damn, that's a question and a half.
Like,
Wow. Oh.
Narrow that down.
That's a hard question. Oh, there's so many questions running through my head because, like, I know I want to link the question back to what we've been talking about, but there's so many other common knowledge questions that I want to ask as well. This is just the way that I work.
No, but that's fine. How you work is fine. So, I mean, the key part is like, if you could say to yourself, and there ain't going to be one thing, I know, because like you're thinking of a million things, and that is brilliant. That's part of that superpower. But if you can think of one thing that really does spring to mind the most, out of those things, that would be an ask that you would want to put out. It might be a message to people. It might be something that you want, an opportunity. It could be a variety of things. What would it be?
So we were talking about something in a meeting yesterday, which I've learned about from psychology, something called an unconscious bias, and everyone has one. Whether that's against a specific race, whether that's against a specific disability. I would ask everyone to identify which one they have, just whatever prejudice someone has.
And we all have them.
Ask why. Ask yourself why you have that, and then also what you can do to like kind of like prove whether that's right or wrong. Try and like, you know, rationalize it in a way. So that's what I would specifically ask someone. And then if I wanted to ask,
can I say to you then? So if people are listening to this, and it's just fact, we all have unconscious bias. So it's not like no one can be sat there going, oh, well, I don't really have one. Can be all do.
Oh yeah.
I mean, no one can get away with that. But how would someone try and define what those biases? Is there certain ways to do it, or is it literally just thinking, okay, be honest with yourself?
I just think being honest with yourself is one thing. I just think to look at specific groups of people and just to note down what you feel when you look at these specific groups. And, you know, stereotypes will massively affect, like, how one person is towards other people. Of course, the stereotypes, some stereotypes come from truth. Some of them are just plain no. You know, some of them are good, some of them are bad. Stereotypes are all types of things. But, you know, they can definitely define someone's attitudes towards people. So, what was I going to say? I was going to say something. You know, when you go off, like, you want to talk about something, you're like, let me say, and it just goes, yeah.
I mean, look, that is a good ask for people, because that impacts on everyone.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That 100%. If we all took that little message away from listening to this today,
if people
it would
actually
make the world a better place for us all to live in. Of course,
if people actually tried to make a conscious effort towards trying to break down some unconscious biases, even if it's slight, it will make the world a much better place. What's it? I was going to say, I feel like it's those that are admitting that they have those biases that are the easiest ones to reconcile with, the easiest ones to actually change. Because, you know, let's say we have two people. One of them has slight racist views and are upfront about it. They're like, okay, they have those. They have these views. These are the views they have. And then you have someone else that has the same views but doesn't. They're like, I'm not racist. I'm not doing this. Like, you know, I'm not doing this. This person is going to be held back a lot more because they're not admitting to themselves that they actually have those views. They're not trying to break those views down. They're not trying to revisit those stereotypes, see whether they're right or wrong. This person's like, crap, I have these views. Let me look at these. And then they're going to shoot off because they're going to be like, oh, let me change these views. Let me educate myself.
How do you challenge that? I mean, obviously, it's everyone with different, of all ages, will have these biases. So how would you challenge that? is there a thought of a way of how this can happen? Is there something to do with like what you're talking about with these panels, for example? Is there something with all these different groups that are doing these panels that they, that there's something that everyone can do, like an insight into what their biases are? I don't know. I'm just throwing things at you. Is there a way for people to challenge themselves within a group setting? Could if individually people won't necessarily believe that they do, then maybe in a supportive setting, like we do with the talking stick and everyone has to speak and all that kind of thing, that if we're being honest and real, we would all reflect on how and you can look at the different characteristics of all different groups, and I think we could all safely say that there'd be certain things, and that's the start, isn't it?
Yeah.
Knowing what those things are, and at least opening up on it, it's then it's a realisation, okay, so when that something does come up and there's someone from that particular background characteristic or whatever, that triggers a thought, I need to think about how I'm going to act and react here.
Yeah. I feel like it's just education and immersion in a way. So if people have stereotypes and they think about it, stereotypes, I used to that will hold them back. It's just education and immersion. So I'll provide a personal example. As a kid, being raised in the West, massively predominantly white area, with some family members that didn't have the most inclusive views. I wouldn't say I was like, I feel like racist would be a strong way to describe it, but I certainly viewed black and ethnic people and foreign people in a specific stereotypical way.
Because of the environment you were brought up in. And we're all a product of that environment.
And what I did, I just look back and I'm like, I see these people as different people. I see these people as not as like, as respectable as the people that I'm been raised around, which are white English. And of course, I'm looking back saying I was stupid back then. So what I did...
You weren't stupid, you just didn't know. You didn't know any different based on the environment you were brought up in.
What I did, I just made friends. So I knew... so when I first moved up to Southmead was when that breakthrough. I knew black people that my brother knew in the area. Just became friends with them. And I feel like just immersing yourself like that. You don't have to go like full on, trying to fully immerse yourself into their culture and stuff like that. Like, yeah.
Can I just finish off the chat with this? I think you being part of the GAP programme has 100% added to people understanding, appreciating the differences, the neurodivergence, the differences in people. And for me, the big thing is that everything should be universal.
Yep.
Open to everyone. It doesn't matter what the characteristics are. And that was the case with GAP. And sometimes, it will work out that the challenges and the stresses and the, are too much for some people. But if we put those barriers up to start with, we'll never know. And by you being on the course and other people with other different kind of backgrounds, the whole course and the learning and everything we get from it is so much better. And what I'm getting from it is so much better.
Yeah.
So, thank you. I can't wait to see what happens in the future.
Nor can I.
We're only 1/3 of the way through. And,
I'm ready for
positive.
it. I'm ready
positive
for it.
Stuff.
100%.
Cool.
If you're a young person and you've listened to today's show or any of the other What Really Matters podcasts and you want to get your voice heard, please do get in touch and let's talk to you about what really matters to you.